Okay, I think this is pretty funny. I stole this from somebody's Facebook. I just love it. I just love it. Enough said, right? Oh my goodness. All right. Here we have people. Here we have people coming on. We have a ton to do today, and the demo is going to be pretty straightforward, but I've got a lot of really great art things to show you, and quilt things and all of that. So finally, we've named the cat. And what happened was William, my grandson, made some little remark like, well, Lennox got to pick the cat. Well, I want to name her Willow. Or Willow? Yeah, Willow. And Willow was on the short list, and his name is William. But, anyways, he was being kind of naughty, so I wasn't going to give it to him. And then all of a sudden, I realized he's taking a lot in, and and I was getting madder and madder at this kid. I know that never happens to any of you. I know that to be true. And so the next morning I woke up and I thought, I'm going to name the cat Willow. So I went to the pet store and got her little tag and have Willow on it. And I saw him at his basketball game. Excuse me. And I showed him the tag and he just almost died. So, yeah, that cat is something else. I've wanted a cat like this my whole life. She follows me like a dog. If she's sleeping, she is near me if or on me. And if she's playing, she is treacherous, okay? And by the way, I did crochet that Afghan blankie behind you. I learned crochet in college by a crochet artist, and I think I've shared before that I didn't learn how to ever do patterns, how to read them. So everything I do is free form, and that is what I made. Okay, so after the basketball game, I go outside and I see this on the side building of one of the buildings there at the school. And I walk up and they're like these little ceramic tile things that the students have made, and they're permanently glued to the outside of the building, which I think is wonderful. And then I looked above the door and it said art spoken here. Now I have to tell you, I knocked on the door. The teacher opened it. She was there working on Sunday. And yeah, everyone thinks teachers' jobs are, 9 to 3. Not. And actually, she thought I was a dare from the eyes peeking in. And she opened it up because I peeked in there and saw something I'll show you in a minute. I said to her that the most important classes I took in high school were art because am dyslexic and I think I have ADD, squirrel, okay? You know what I mean? And she said, like all of us. And so I just told her how much it meant to me. I mean, it really set my life course. And I remember when I was at college and I was struggling with math, struggling with chemistry, struggling with, not chemistry, no, I would never be in that, math, and all these. What did we have to do for science? I hated it. I couldn't remember. I couldn't read it because and and I said, this teacher, changed my life in high school. And I remember riding across the campus going, I'm going to be an art major. That's what I'm going to do. And such happiness filled my heart. I couldn't stand it. I had found my spot in life. And I think a lot of you can relate to that, certainly. So when I was peeking in the door, I see this. This is made by a student, you guys. Claire is her name. And the teacher said, I didn't teach her this. And I said, well, then her mom must be a quilter. And she said, oh, yeah, she is. And I looked at this piece. It took my breath away. I would be proud to put my name on it. Again, her name was Claire. And I'm so glad I peeked my nose in the window, that I went in and saw and talked to this teacher. And she was so sweet. She goes, I love this job. I love everything about my job. I love, I love, I love. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so Monday, oh wait, no, Julie comes to my retreat all the time. And I would say her happy place is working with greens and reds. And Julie, I didn't tell you I was going to do this. And I looked at this tree, and it's really very simple if you want to get down to it. I mean, it's squares, half square triangles, a star on top, etc. But I was looking at this, and something really captured me with it, and it was the way the inner border kind of laps into the body of the quilt. And it took me a minute to figure out what was going on, but I think this is something we could all pay attention to. I think this is so wonderful. So you can see on the inner border, let's talk at the bottom part, right? There's green in that red area, and then and the border is white and green, and then you go into that first square on top, and it pulls the whole thing in. It pulls it all in. At first I thought it was applique, and then I realized no, because I'll tell you right now, that's not her jam. But it was working with a fabric collection that the coordinates were what is that? I can't tell. Is that berries in the square and then berries in the inner border with the dark red background? So Julie, congratulations. You nailed it on this. Thank you. Okay, so then I have so much here, it's crazy. I got this from Patricia, and I don't know if I showed this to you last week or not, but it's a BOM, and I adore how she added the diamonds to the top and maybe to the bottom so that it was no longer a square quilt, it was rectangle for a bed. Liked that. So if I showed it twice, sorry guys, but I don't think I did. Okay, so at Paducah, I've made a new friend. All right, her name is Christy Bonds, and she kind of has sent me boxes of Johnny West clothes that she's bought and gone, yeah, it's not for me. And I met her on a whim there. I met her on a whim a couple of years ago, and we've been in correspondence. Anyway, she wrote to me and said, I'm getting rid of some Johnny Was sweaters. Are you interested? Well, yeah, straight up. And so she took me to her studio, and let's take a look at her studio. I walk in, and it's huge. This is only a portion of it. You can see the clothes to the left, all right? And I started looking at her wall. On the left-hand side is a complete design wall, complete, all right? And I started looking, and I was like going, okay, Christy has chops. She has serious, serious chops. So these are some studies, they're small, that she did. And the thing that I appreciate about Christy is that she takes classes. And you can see here that she wouldn't have to take classes because she's got it all going on. But as I walked down the wall and looked at everything, I was struck at number one, how talented she is, but number two, that she, at her level, is taking classes and learning and challenging herself. I appreciate that. So this was another piece. I wish I had paid attention, Christy. I think she's going to be watching this. Uh-oh, here comes my partner. Um, Let me pick her up because she'll step on the keyboard and then we're in trouble. Come on. Okay. I didn't really pay attention of who taught what, especially in this case. But to me, this is a really, really, really intriguing piece with the bumblebee. And you know, one thing that kind of drives me nuts is when people say, well, what are you going to do with it? I don't know. I'm learning and I'm going to try new things. And I might even learn I never want to do that again. Okay. Hi. Get out of here. Whoops, I dropped my notes. That's not good. All right. Okay. So then here's that one we just looked at. And I was so taken with these little pieces. Now, you know how I feel about sunbonnet, and if you don't, that statement is enough. However, this is a piece of fabric that she got from Japan and then put Sunbonnet Sue on top. And look at the little dog at the bottom. And well, I got a close up because I thought this was just really fabulous. I believe most of it is machine stitched. The decorative, I'm not sure over the blue flower if that is not done by hand. If I were a betting woman, that's what I would say. But again, this is one of those things of what are you going to do with it? I don't know, but isn't this a magnificent piece? And it looks like the bow in Sue's hat has been done on an embroidery machine. Yeah. Mhm. So this was a piece, I can't remember if this was a Katie Pasquini class. I don't remember. But you had to, work with certain colors, I suppose. I'm making this up because I'm so overwhelmed by everything at this point. And then you had different studies. Super valuable. Take classes. Okay, this was super interesting. And maybe this was the Katie one. You take an image that you create an image like dogwood here, and then what do you do to translate it into more of an art piece? These are really good what ifs, right? Here's more. You make yourself a piece and then you chop it up and then rearrange it. There goes my buddy. I love this. I completely love this. And all these what ifs. This was interesting. This was towards the end of the row. And I don't know what the challenge was, but if I were to describe this challenge, I would say make something exceedingly artful and contemporary, and then add something exceedingly traditional on top. That's an interesting challenge, you guys. Yeah, I love these. And boy, does she have a handle on color, right? But also, then this is like completely off the grid of what I'm just showing you. One of the things she did was how to store her stabilizers and stuff like that. And I snapped a picture. And these are like shoe holders, and it goes straight up against the wall. Again, she has a very large space. But I thought this is very, very, very efficient storage. In fact, I got to get it to Lilo for her, making your sewing room a better place. Okay, so, oh, and then we had lunch that was delicious. And whether there's clothing involved next year or not, I'm going to have lunch with Christy. I really, really like her. So what happened was she moved to Paducah because of Carol Breyer Fowler. You're getting some little history here. And she purchased a beautiful, beautiful home. It is on the market. And I'm like, how can you sell this house? How can you do it? That's why we were meeting at the studio. And she said, well, I kind of fell in love with the realtor. So she's moving into his house. And I want to show you, I'll show you the big ta-da in a moment. This is the interior. I got like two or three interior shots. I guess it looks like two here. It is an older house in Paducah. It is, look at the ceiling on that. It's just gorgeous. I think I would cry if I had to leave this house. Now, it is on the market. I will show you the outside, and it's Christy's prayer. It's kind of down in the art district that the person that buys it is a quilter. And there was one couple interested from Los Angeles, but she hasn't heard anything, but this person's wife is a quilter. Now, wait till you see the Zillow listing. Look at the price. It's beautiful. If you ever wanted to move to Paducah, here's your shot. Here's your shot. Quilters, calling all quilters. Just amazing. So, Christy, thank you for your hospitality and being so generous in sharing everything with me. Okay, so my girlfriend, Lois Johnson, belongs to Genesee's Quilt Guild, and it's up in Rochester, New York, and their show was this weekend. This was a raffle quilt, and you could see it got a nice little prize from Paducah. You can spot those ribbons everywhere. I actually called Lois and I said, put $10 down for me. And then she got hold of me later and she goes, oh, you didn't win. I'm like, oh, okay. But Lois won. She got a ribbon for this piece. I think this is spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Such a good use of color. And the funny thing is, Lois and I go back to quilting, 3 years ago, and she became a kindergarten teacher. Her gift is her voice, is her singing voice. And she'll always say things like, well, yeah, stop it. She's excellent. And in fact, she's coming here in 2 weeks and we're going to whip out a baby quilt together. Won't that be fun? And then faces, right? Super fun. She got another award. And then I said to her, she called me yesterday or the other day, and I couldn't talk to her. And then I called her back. I said, look, are the quilts still up? And she said, yes. I said, get me some pictures. And she did. So we're having a little quilt show here. Here, Sakwa had a special exhibit. And this is Maria Shells. I believe it's for sale. Beautiful. And then this is... Oh, wait, hold on. I'm goofing up. The name of this is Bear Fence. And if you were interested in purchasing these, I suppose I would just go to Sakwa and say it was the Rochester Genesee Quilt Guild show. Because I think they have rotating exhibits going everywhere, which is awesome. Okay, this is Valerie Mazer Flanagan, Learning Inward. That kind of makes my eyes go cuckoo. It's amazing how dimensional it looks. Just beautiful. And then this is Connie Roman. It's called Now and Then. Again, these are part of a traveling Sakwa exhibit. And then I almost flipped when I saw this one. This is called Penumbra by Karen Stone. This is a Karen Stone quilt, which is if I had to, bet on this and name it, that's the last name I would have come up with. Karen is a remarkable artist that it just keeps growing and learning and changing. And I think that's what makes this craft so interesting. Okay, this is Cindy Loos, Loos, Traffic Control. All right. And then stepping out of the Sakwa exhibit, Lois grabbed another picture and said, this one's pretty cool. This is The Gathering by Antonia Court Mahine, I think. Yeah, Mahine or Henning, I forget. Okay, and this was fashioned after ethnic quilts that she's seen. But look at this. When she sent me this and I went, oh boy, it's hand done. I'm sure that's all hand quilted. Absolutely spectacular. Let's go back and look at the big one again. Yeah. Okay. Little ribbon hanging there. So I wanted to share those things with you. And when you send me things, I appreciate it because I look at what we're doing worldwide and how because of the internet, and I'm not just talking about us, we are not just stuck with who the prize teacher is in our neighborhood, which is wonderful, but we can learn from all over with Zoom classes and stuff like that. So that is flippin' awesome. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take a look at the chain stitch. And again, I am working on, I've got to get my playground here on just a little piece. As I mentioned, I'm not going to make okay, in case you're new to the game here, this is what we're working on. Let me get this on here. You can see the grandkids were here. This is what we're working on, the gnome project. Let me lift it up a little bit. Okay. Higher, higher, higher. Oh, this is dumb. Let's do it this way. No, I guess we could see it pretty well, but nonetheless, let me do this. Okay, this is what we're working on. Okay, we got a couple kits left. We have patterns for it. I designed it. And what we did was the first session, we pieced the background together. And then I asked you to stitch down all of the edges with a very fine thread. And a bunch of you brought thread rings, and I think they're coming in very soon if they aren't in yet. So we'll get those to you. All right. So let's take a look at what I'm working on, and it's going to take a little bit of fiddling. Okay. Okay, that's pretty. Okay, so first comes the question. Let me see this. Why? Well, here we go. Here, this guy here has been stitched down with an 80 weight thread right here. Okay. These have been finished with the chain stitch. It's kind of hard to see. That white's awfully bold, but you can see here, you can see here, and you can see here. Now, some of your threads, and I honestly don't remember what's in your kit, I just grabbed from my pile, are variegated. And when you have variegated, you're going to want to make sure that when you stop an end or run out of thread, that you match it up so you don't have, like, say, that much dark and then it jams back down into white. So right here, let me take the pin out. I marked this the other day when I was working on it. Right here is a thread change, right there. And you can see I continued the light and then came on around over to the dark. So just be aware of that. Also, even with these French knots, which we'll be doing later, if I ran out of thread, and let's say I ran out of thread there, I would make sure I pick up and French knot it in a light color and then keep going up like that. All right? Okay. Now, so that's the first thing I want you to think about as you stitch these things down. The second thing, and I'm going to take a couple stitches for you. What's this to? I don't know. Uh-oh. Let me thread this. I want to talk about turning the corner, all right? Because that can become problematic. And I need glasses, which are on my head, and I need a needle threader. I got like a ton of these off Amazon for like $5 or something, and they break like the dickens, but I mean, I got like a million of them for nothing. So I always, when I'm traveling, pack a bunch of them because I know I'm going to break them. So let me get that through there. Do it again. I did have it thread, just so you know. And I want to talk, well, I'll talk about that in a moment. Not now. Let me get this stupid thing threaded. Okay. Now remember, I'm left-handed, all right? But there are many books that will teach you both left and right-handed, and I'm going to talk about that, show you that in a moment. So I'm ready. Oh, that chain stitch got pulled tight. Let me loosen that up. There we go. So the way I do a chain stitch is I come down into the previous chain, which is right there, and then I go up, like right here. I make sure that this thread doesn't get twisted, so that's why I'm holding it down with my thumb. And then just go like that. Oh, this is going to be fun when I show you the French knot. I can already tell. Maybe if I stand up. Yeah, okay. So here's another one. I'm just kind of catching the mushroom, but if I don't, it's no big deal because I've already stitched it down. See, you can see there, it's stitched down. And this chain just puts a really nice finish on it. So I'm going to go like this. I'm coming to the corner. Gonna come up. And I don't want it to collapse. If I go like this, it might collapse, right? So I'm just going to take a little stitch out here, come back up into the hole, and then carry on. Now it's secured and it's not going to collapse. And while this seems simple, sometimes the littlest things make all the difference to the success of the end of the project. Okay. I wonder if I'm going to make it with this thread. Oh, I hope so. I hope so. Okay, let's start betting. I'm going to take 2 stitches in here. Not one. One's too big. I don't think I'm going to make it. Okay, so I'm going to take 1 because I want to make it. Well, that's okay. And then I'm going to go down in this one to secure it. Right? And then I'm going to tie it off at the end. And how I'm going to, boy, this is like unbelievably short. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to take a little stitch. I'm not going through all of it. I am under the mushroom. Please let me do this. And I'm going to wrap a little French knot. Oh, I just made it. There you go. All right. Now, let's talk about this thread. Just like the wool, the thread is expensive. And in your kit, we were very aware of not making you buy a whole skein if you didn't really need it. Now, I believe there were a couple whole skeins. It's because you are going to need it. But what I'm doing is if I have some thread left over, let's say I finished this thing and I had that, a lot of thread left over, I would just sew it in here, and then I've got this to pull from before I go back to the little wrapped thing that we gave you. In other words, conserve your thread, just like I've been saying, conserve your wool, because you don't want to run out. Now, if you do run out because you decide to do your own thing, it's no big deal, okay? Just go get another color and it'll blend, another type of thread, and it will blend right in, all right? I just happen to really love this, and it's Wonderfil. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you, when you finish everything with all of the, oh, wouldn't that be nice? With all of this, in the pattern, I'm keeping it very, very simple. Very, very simple. Just, it's nice and neat, nice and tidy. There you go. But I've done other pieces, let me take this up, where I've thought, I want to add more. And as we go forward, if you guys like this, we'll be doing more stitches, etc. So for instance, this is the one you've been seeing that I've been working on. You can see here, not only, well, gosh, it's that white blowing it out again. Okay, here I just have the finished edge, but in here I've got bullion, and I've got another example of bullion here. It just takes it a step more. So here you've got your chain stitch, then you've got your bullion on the outside. You can see here I've got the rickrack. First I got the chain, first I stitched it down by hand. Then I did the chain stitch. Then I did the bullion. And at some point I put this rickrack on and then attached it with French knots. And this is that tiny, tiny rickrack that I used on here. All right. So in this case, I whip stitched it. And in this case, I French knotted it. Now I'll show you the whole thing of this right now. This is key. I'm kind of obsessed with all of that. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's another fun one. Now, the other thing, I've talked about this book, all right? I have a ton of books. In this case, with what we're doing with this project, I'm sticking to this book, but I want to say that almost every I would put money down on the table that every hand embroidery book you have will be doing all the stitches that we're doing on this project. But what I like particularly about this book is, oh, by the way, Charlene gave me this in my mini group. It's, if you want to do, we know how we did bow ties. If you want to do a, oh, sorry. If you want to do a 3D bow tie, just go to YouTube and go 3D bow tie block. And it's really super cute and super simple. All right. So here, okay, here we have the chain stitch right here. We've got left hand, right hand. Simple, simple, simple. But then what also, oh, by the way, it's also known as the lazy daisy stitch. But then what else can you do? So this book takes you chain stitch, and you can do this, and it shows you how. Chain stitch, and then you can do this. So I like that it takes the mother stitch, and then it adds more things to it. I asked Suzanne if we have any of these, and she said we have like, I don't know, 7 in the store or something. Let's say you have chain stitch on the outside and you want to make it a little more fancy. You're just weaving other colors into it. It's just fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Well, here's another one. And we will be doing a lazy daisy down the road, which this is kind of like. Okay. I love this book. But it's not my only, like I said. It's not my only. All right? And so it goes. let me look at, see if there's any questions or anything like that. All right. Let me go back. Oh, so Peggy, you went and had this book spiral bound at FedEx. Yeah, that's probably a great idea. Isn't it wonderful when you find, oh, the best? Okay, good. You people have this book. That makes me happy. I always knot my unused thread. That way you are using the needle in the same direction when it was pulled off the spool. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Ew, Betsy, that's not a snow. That's not a snowflake, lady. Mm-mm-mm. It is a dandelion. Make a wish. I've gotta name this, and maybe it will be Make a Wish. I don't know. Okay. Oh, this is great. Okay. Wednesday, have we got a show for you? Ricky, as I mentioned before, was getting interviews at Paducah. And I don't know if you've heard about this person, but Karen Nyberg was one of them. She's an astronaut. And she is the person that went to space. Now there's other quilter astronauts, but she actually quilted in space. She took her stuff with her and made, I think, a quilt and a dinosaur toy or something like that for her kid. I haven't seen the piece yet, but I'm sure going to watch it. Sue Nichols and Pat Hawley met her, and they go, "We met a rock star," I mean, so she was at Paducah this year, and I'm ever so grateful that Ricky could get that interview with her. Let me see if there's any other things. So that's Wednesday, and of course we have John on John. We we have D on Saturday. I'm looking at Pat John. Speaking about struggling, I found my quilting, sewing, etc. as my art teacher in high school, and I was terrible at art. Also love that I know from all of you there are no zipper police. La Paducah. Oh boy. So, hey, everybody, thank you for choosing to spend time with me. I'll see you Monday, but don't miss Wednesday. I'm praying we can get her on the show, to tell you the truth. So, take care. I see a lot of my friends here, and I so appreciate you. I'm going to find my kitty. See you later. Bye bye.